Ava, thank you so much for having me over today. It was nice seeing your new place. Good evening, Olivia. I honestly never imagined that in the first meeting with my brother's girlfriend, I would be showing off my new house, and to top it off, you'd be here too. I thought it was just going to be a casual thing, but look at this. Well, I'm glad I came. I was actually looking forward to meeting Nathan's sister too. You know, the whole first-time meeting thing. It happens to everyone, right? There's no reason to make a big deal out of it. That's not quite what I meant, but whatever. By the way, though, I was thinking, you're still single, aren't you? At 30 years old? Yes, I'm still single. Is there something wrong with that? Well, it's just, I find it a bit strange. You're 30, you're single, and you bought a house? I mean, you have the money to buy a house, but for some reason you still can't seem to find a partner? You just gave up on marriage altogether? That kind of feels a little sad to me, don't you think? I don't really think being 30 and single is all that uncommon these days, though. But still, you bought a house as a single person. I mean, that's kind of unfair, don't you think? Unfair? Yeah, I can definitely smell something strange going on here. I just feel like someone more suitable should be the one living in that house, not someone who's single. Someone more suitable? Yeah, someone like me, of course. Nathan and I will get married and then we'll move into that house. What? You know, the house you bought? It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom property, right? And it's near the station with a lovely garden. I mean, that's amazing, but honestly, it's just way too big to live in by yourself. It would be such a waste, right? So Nathan and I are planning to get married and we'll move in together. I'll be the one living there. You should just hand over the keys to me when the time comes. Oh, and don't worry about giving me a spare key, okay? I'll be living there, so I don't need one from you. I'm going to have to decline. What? Honestly, I didn't want to bring this up because it's so sudden, but the truth is, yes, I'm single, but I do have a fiancé. I won't be living there alone. Wait, what? The deed to the house is actually in both my name and my fiancé's name, so it's not just mine to decide what happens with. Oh, really? Ava, didn't you just earlier talk about how a single woman who couldn't get married ends up buying a house alone? And now you're saying you actually have a fiancé? That's a little hard to believe, don't you think? If you're going to lie, at least make it a little more believable. Honestly, I'm not buying it. You were pretty spot on with your assumptions, but it's clear that this part is just a fabrication. Don't twist what I said into something it wasn't. You're just making up a story now. Is that so? Well, even if it wasn't exactly what you said, I guess I wasn't that far off, was I? I think you should focus on packing your stuff instead of making excuses for yourself. I don't need to pack right now. Actually, this timing couldn't be better. The lease on my current apartment is up for renewal, so it's the perfect moment to move in. It's almost like fate. I didn't say you could just move in there. Oh wait, don't forget, Nathan still needs to propose to me. This conversation is completely going off track.
Ava, are you okay?
Huh? Oh, Martin, is there something wrong?
You seemed a little down today. You've been on such a high lately, ever since you bought the house you always dreamed of. It's been nothing but good vibes from you, and you were even bouncing off the walls for the past few days. But today, from the moment you arrived at work, you looked a little off. Even while you were working, you had this gloomy expression on your face. It was really noticeable.
Oh, really? Was I making that face?
Yeah, you definitely were. Honestly, I thought about coming over and asking if you were okay during work, but then I got caught up with a sudden urgent client matter, so I couldn't get the chance.
Sorry for worrying you. I guess I just had to focus on work today. I didn't mean to seem off, but there's a lot on my mind.
No, it's fine. It's just that I didn't see any mistakes in your work, so I wasn't really worried about that. But hey, I did hear you had your family over to see the new house yesterday. How did that go? Was everything okay?
Yeah, that's right. I invited my family over for the housewarming just to show them the new place. But for some reason, my brother's girlfriend showed up as well, and I wasn't expecting her.
Wait, Nathan's girlfriend?
Yeah, and when I asked Nathan about it, he told me that she works with him. Apparently, she's been asking him out for a while, even though he kept turning her down. Finally, he gave in and agreed to date her, and yesterday was their 6th day of dating. But it was my first time meeting her, and let's just say it didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. Honestly, I felt like I was talking to someone from another planet. It was like I was having a conversation with an alien, or at least that's what it felt like.
What happened exactly?
Well, she really seemed to like the house, a little too much, in fact. She kept saying, "I'll marry you and live here with you."
Wait, what?
I know, right? It made no sense, but that's exactly what she said, and she was so serious about it, too. She's like, "I think the house would be happier if I lived here." She was completely convinced that I shouldn't be living there, and she was determined to make it her place instead.
But why? What was her reasoning?
Apparently, in her mind, the only reason a 30-year-old woman would buy a house and still be single is that she's given up on marriage. She said that women in her situation, like me, are the ones who buy houses alone because they've accepted that they'll never get married. She said things like, "The house would be better off with me in it." Even when I tried to tell her I was engaged, she wouldn't believe me. She was absolutely certain that she was the one meant to live there, and she had already started making plans to move in. It was like she didn't hear anything I was saying. I hadn't even given her a key, but I was seriously worried that she'd just show up and try to move in without any permission or anything.
And Nathan? What'd he say?
Well, that's the problem. Nathan was sick at the time, and he was bedridden, so I didn't get the chance to talk to him about it. He had no idea what was going on. I couldn't even really explain it to him properly because he was too out of it.
I see. That's rough. I really wish I could have been there for the housewarming, but I ended up having to work overtime. I feel bad about it now. I would have liked to meet her and maybe have a word with her.
I understand. Work comes first. I know how it is. I just wasn't expecting things to go that way. I didn't expect it to escalate this much.
Well, you know what? From now on, I'm coming over and I'll be staying with you. I'll make it clear that I'm your fiancé, and I'll make sure she knows that this house is not for her. I'll stand my ground and say, I'm here with my fiancé and no one is taking over. If she's really that insistent, I'll make it crystal clear that she's not gonna get away with it.
What? You're really going to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. If she thinks she can just waltz in and take over, she's got another think coming. I'm not gonna let her try and take your house away. This is my fiancé's house, not yours. Well, jokes aside, though, I do think it might be helpful if I show up and make it clear I'm the actual fiancé. I'm gonna move in next month, and maybe that'll convince her to back off. If I show up in person, she might realize this isn't just some made-up story, and she might back down. At least I hope so.
That's actually a good idea. You're right, it might make a difference if you show up in person. She might back down once she realizes it's not some fake relationship.
How about this? I'll come over tomorrow after work. I know you're buried in overtime until the weekend, so I'll go first and help get things settled. How does that sound? I'll go ahead and take care of things until you can catch up.
That would be a huge help. If you don't mind, could you go ahead? I'd really appreciate it.
Got it. Consider it done. I'll be over there to make sure everything is okay. Ava! She's here!
What?
She's already moved in!
What? How did she get in without the keys?
I didn't have time to ask how she did it, but when I showed up, she tried to run off. I caught her, and honestly, I didn't know what else to do, so I ended up calling the police. I had to hand her over to them.
Oh my God, I didn't expect it to escalate this much.
Yeah, I didn't want it to get that far, but she was being so persistent. The police came without sirens, so there were no curious onlookers, but I still talked to the neighbors across the street and next door just to make sure they weren't confused about what was going on.
Thank you for doing all that. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's gonna be my place too, so I wanted to make sure things went smoothly. But hey, Nathan's sick, and you should probably fill him in on everything as soon as possible. He might not believe what's been happening, but it's better if he hears it from you directly.
Yeah, I know. I'll talk to him about it soon. Thanks again for stepping in. That was awful. What was that? I was just watching TV in my new house when this tough-looking old guy barged in and yelled, "Gola" at me. then they called the police. I ended up being dragged away in a police car. It was seriously the worst. You're the one who was trespassing, so what are you even saying? Don't forget that your parents had to beg and apologize so that you wouldn't be charged, okay? What the? I just thought I was the one most deserving to live in that new house, that's all. And that's exactly what you can't do. I heard you were sent back to your parents' house in the countryside after that. I tried to get Nathan to come help, but he refused. What was I supposed to do? By the way, who is that tough guy? He said his name was Martin? Martin is my fiancé, actually. What? He's also a senior at my workplace. That day I had to stay late, so I gave him the key and asked him to go ahead and head home. It turns out he showed up at the house and found you there, having just barged in. Wait, you're really engaged? For real? Martin, good morning.
Good morning, Ava.
Thanks again for handling Olivia's trespassing situation the other day.
You don't need to keep thanking me, Ava. I've already gotten the message loud and clear, so there's no need for more.
Yeah, well, actually I got a message from Olivia last night.
Wait, really? How does she still have the nerve to contact you? Is her skin made of steel or something?
Maybe. She didn't seem like she was reflecting on her actions at all.
Unbelievable. That's wild. And speaking of which, I still can't get over the first impression she left on me.
Right? She was just sitting there on the couch in the living room with boxes of stuff piled up at the entrance like she had moved in, as if she had every right to be there.
Oh, yeah. I remember. She was watching TV, holding a can of beer, and eating chicken, laughing like it was her home. It was like she thought she'd already won the place.
Maybe she thought she was celebrating with a little victory party since I finally got the house. Honestly, I couldn't care less at that point.
I was speechless when I saw the window leading to the garden all smashed up.
Yeah, me too. The idea that she thought it was fine to break the glass just to get in because she didn't have a key was chilling. I'm going to have to send her the bill for that glass replacement later on.
By the way, what did you do with all of her stuff? I noticed there were about 10 boxes sitting at the front door.
Oh, that. I asked my brother about it. He managed to get the address of her parents' house, and they told me I could send everything back by cash on delivery. So I shipped it all out the other day.
I heard she was sent back to her parents' place in the countryside, too.
Yeah, apparently her apartment here, where she was living alone, was already conveniently canceled. She had already gone ahead and filled out the paperwork as if she were moving into our new home. So it looks like she had no choice but to go back to her family house.
I guess she tried to turn to Nathan for support, but he turned her down too, huh?
Exactly. It seems like she thought she could rely on him, but he wasn't having any of it either. She's got nothing left to hold on to now. Why am I being asked for alimony? This doesn't make any sense. Didn't you get the message to go through a lawyer? But it doesn't make sense. The message about how you completely misunderstood and bashed me? What's that about? Huh? You spread lies about me on social media. You posted, "My boyfriend's sister is so desperate because she can't get married, so she bought a house instead. What a joke. LOL." You see, Nathan and I are twins. We've been in the same school from kindergarten through high school, so a lot of our local friends overlap. Because of that post, your friends who learned about your social media from Nathan thought that I had broken up with my fiancé, Martin. What? That's what happened because of that? Yes, and it caused a whole mess. There was even an ex of mine, someone I broke up with because he cheated, who started demanding I get back together. He even stalked me and waited for me at the nearest station. What? Luckily, Martin stepped in right away and explained the situation. He made sure to set things straight and intimidated him enough to get him to leave, so it was handled quickly. Oh, that scary-looking guy? Yeah, all of this has been causing a lot of trouble for the past few weeks. The alimony claim I'm making is because of that. Wait, you can really ask for alimony over something like that? You'd be surprised. It's clear you still haven't learned from this. But I could also file a criminal report if you want. Wait, no, please, I'll pay the alimony and I'll reflect on it. Then stop contacting me. It's extremely annoying. Oh, why is this happening? What's going to happen to me now? I was told by people around me that I should file a police report, but in the end, it was decided that I wouldn't do so. This decision didn't come easily, as the circumstances surrounding the situation were complex and involved many hidden layers, most of which I only learned about later. The turning point came when I had a conversation with Olivia's parents, and they revealed some of the behind-the-scenes details that I wasn't aware of. To my shock, I discovered that Olivia had been engaged to someone chosen by her parents. This wasn't a normal, voluntary engagement that Olivia had willingly agreed to, but an arranged one, designed according to her parents' wishes. And the more I learned about the situation, the more I realized how much Olivia detested it. Apparently, Olivia had absolutely no desire to marry this man. She found the engagement repulsive, and she despised everything about it. She felt trapped, suffocated by her parents' decisions, which seemed to control every aspect of her life. Unable to bear the thought of being stuck in an arranged marriage she didn't want, Olivia decided to take drastic action. She left home and came to the city, almost as if running away, seeking some form of freedom from the pressure she'd been living under. Her departure from home was not just a simple move, it was more like an escape. She had been pushed to the brink, and this was her way of trying to break free from the expectations and control her parents had over her. It was as if she was trying to carve out a space for herself, away from the demands that had been placed on her. But while Olivia thought she had gained some freedom, her parents were having none of it. They were insistent that she should return and honor the engagement, even though she had no desire to do so. In fact, Olivia's parents were concerned about the way her rebellious behavior could reflect poorly on their family, particularly in the eyes of society. They didn't want to see their daughter's character tarnished, especially before she got married. They felt that if Olivia went against their wishes, it would somehow stain her reputation before she even stepped into her role as a wife. Their focus wasn't on Olivia's happiness or well-being, but on maintaining a certain image for their family. In their eyes, a marriage arranged in this way, regardless of Olivia's personal feelings, was the best course of action for both her and them. So, to make sure she adhered to their plans, Olivia's parents took measures to ensure that she would never return to me or my family. They presented us with a document, a formal agreement, that explicitly stated that Olivia and her family would cut ties with us and that Olivia would never again approach me or anyone related to me. In exchange for this, they promised a settlement. It wasn't just any settlement, it was a sum of money significantly higher than what one would expect in these kinds of cases. A sum that was meant to compensate for the inconvenience and emotional toll the whole situation had caused. It was an offer that seemed, at least on the surface, to bring closure to the matter. They were trying to buy peace, offering this hefty amount of compensation in exchange for cutting all ties with Olivia. The settlement was designed to silence any further attempts at contact, and Olivia's parents made it clear that they wanted to ensure that their daughter's future would go ahead as planned, no matter the cost. Despite the money and legal agreements, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a hollow resolution. It felt like a situation where Olivia's freedom and happiness had been sacrificed in exchange for a smooth, quiet life for her parents. This was not the resolution I had hoped for. I couldn't help but feel sorry for Olivia, whose life had been decided for her in ways that she never consented to. However, the story doesn't end there. A few days later, I stumbled upon some additional information that painted an even darker picture of Olivia's situation. I learned, almost by chance, that the man she was engaged to wasn't who he appeared to be. In fact, he was deeply in debt, far more than anyone had originally suspected. His financial situation was a mess, and it seemed that his only interest in marrying Olivia was to gain access to someone who could earn money and help him pay off his mounting debts. The more I heard about this man, the more disturbed I became. It wasn't just that Olivia's parents had chosen him for her, it was the fact that he was financially irresponsible and had taken on massive debts, which had apparently led to his search for a young woman who could provide some kind of financial support. Olivia, unfortunately, seemed to be caught in a situation where her parents had thought they were protecting her, but in reality, they were making a decision that would only entrench her further into a life she didn't want. I can't even begin to imagine what kind of life Olivia was walking into, considering the financial instability of her future husband. It was clear that this wasn't a partnership based on love or mutual respect. It was a transaction, one that revolved around money and power, not emotions or personal desires. The worst part was that Olivia had no say in this arrangement. Her voice had been drowned out by the choices made for her by her parents and her fiancé. Even worse, as I learned more about the situation, it became evident that Olivia was likely being pushed into work that she hadn't chosen for herself. I don't want to speculate too much, but given the circumstances and the kind of person her fiancé appeared to be, It was hard not to think that Olivia might be forced into doing things she wasn't comfortable with. Thought of it was chilling, and I could only hope that she wasn't subjugated to any kind of exploitation or mistreatment. All of this made me question the extent to which Olivia's parents were truly acting in her best interests. Were they really trying to protect her, or were they simply looking out for themselves, ensuring that their daughter would fulfill a role that they had already decided for her? The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply ingrained these patterns of control and manipulation were in her life. In the end, I couldn't help but feel sympathy for Olivia. She had been caught in a web of expectations, debt, and obligations, and her own desires had been silenced by the pressure of those around her. It wasn't just about the arranged marriage, it was about the lack of agency she had in her own life. Everything had been decided for her, and she had been pushed into a future she never asked for. I couldn't change her situation, though. All I could do was hope that someday Olivia would find the strength to break free from these constraints, to reclaim her life and her voice. Until then, it seemed like her path was set, and there was nothing more I could do to help her. But deep down, I wanted to believe that she could find a way out, that she could escape the life that had been forced on her and create her own future on her own terms. If only she could see that there was more to life than following the path others had laid out for her. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Also, feel free to leave a comment about what you thought of the story. We look forward to seeing you at the next video.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.